Why is it that we sit in our comfort zones, sipping lats, watching the horror unfold thousands of miles away, and then dare to ask, why isn't Allah doing something? Let me be blunt. That's not a question. It's an excuse. It's a cop-out dressed in fuck's concern. Because the truth is this. Allah doesn't need to descend from the heavens to make a change. He gave you the voice, the mind, the means. So why are you still standing on the sidelines? We act as if we're powerless, as if there's some divine appointment we're waiting for where you get involved. But here's the harsh reality. If you're waiting for miracles while doing absolutely nothing, you're part of the problem. Don't hide behind faith as a way to avoid responsibility. Prayers without action are just empty words. And let's not pretend that one person can't change anything. That's lazy thinking. Every movement in history began with voice, one decision, one refusal to stay silent. And maybe, just maybe, that voice was meant to be yours. People always ask me, where is God in all this? I turn the question around, where are you? Because if you're watching civilians being crushed under rubble and you feel nothing but momentary discomfort, if you switch the channel and get on with your day, then maybe the real silence isn't from the heavens, it's from humanity. This isn't a game of waiting. This is a call to rise. If you want to know where the help is, if you're looking for a sign, stop staring at the sky, look at your hands, look at your conscience, look at your spine. That is the help. That is the miracle. The only question is, will you show up or will you be the bystander history forgets? You know what's more dangerous than bombs, tanks, and politics? Silence. Deafening, cowardly silence. The kind of silence that watches a child pulled from rubble and says nothing. The kind that sees an entire people erased in real time and offers only awkward glances and muted sympathy. Silence isn't neutral, it's a decision, a choice. And let's not pretend it's innocent, because silence is how injustice survives. It's the oxygen that feeds every atrocity. You can dress it up however you like, call it staying out of politics or not taking sides. But let's not kid ourselves. When you remain quiet in the face of slaughter, you've already taken a side. And it's not the side of the oppressed, it's the side of comfort, the side of convenience, the side of those who can afford to look away. That's not morality. That's complicity with a clean conscience. There is a time to reflect, yes. There is a time to pray, to mourn, to process, but there is also a time to speak. Loudly, relentlessly. When injustice becomes normalized, silence is the most obedient servant of the status quo. History has always judged the silent the hardest. Because while evil acts with brutality, silence enables it with civility. And you don't need a title, a microphone, or a political role to make noise. You just need a pulse and a spine. Speak in your home, in your circle, in your workplace. Truth doesn't need volume, it needs courage. Every word that challenges the lie is a crack in the system built to suppress it. So when people ask, what can I do? Start hearing stop being silent, because silence might protect your image, but it will betray your soul. And when the dust settles, and the truth is finally told, silence will have the most to answer for. Here's the brutal truth. No one wants to admit you already have the power. You just don't want the responsibility that comes with it. It's easier to act helpless, to sit back and say, what can I do? It feels safer, cleaner. But deep down, it's not the truth. You've been given a voice, influence, resources, some more than others, yes. But every single one of us has something. And still we do next to nothing. Don't tell me you care while your power lies dormant. Don't tell me you believe in justice while you enjoy the benefits of freedom and use them only to protect your own comfort. That's not power. That's privilege wasted. And don't think for a second that staying out of it keeps your hands clean. When you've been given tools to act and you choose silence, you're not neutral. You're negligent. What do you think power is for? Decoration, popularity? No, it's for moments exactly like this. It's for times when the world is screaming, and the easy thing is to say nothing. Economies. Power is tested not when it's safe to speak, but when it's costly. The real question is not, do you have power? The real question is, do you have the guts to use it? We spend so much time chasing success, followers, recognition. But when real purpose knocks, we hesitate, we retreat. That's not strength. That's fear pretending to be wisdom. If you truly believe in God, then understand this. He didn't give you a platform, a voice, or a mind so you could sit in silence while innocent people are buried alive. He gave you those gifts so you could do something with them. So stop asking when divine help will arrive. Maybe it already has. Maybe it looks exactly like you. Do you honestly think Palestine needs more thought and prayers while bombs fall and children scream? Do you think what they truly need is another post, another moment of silence, another round of performative sympathy? No, they don't need pity. They need pressure, relentless, unyielding, unapologetic pressure, because pity changes nothing. Pressure changes everything. Let's stop acting like compassion alone can dismantle oppression. It can't. The people of Palestine aren't asking for your sorrow. They're demanding your action. Your outrage, your refusal to accept the unacceptable. Pity sits in the corner and weeps. Pressure marches to the front lines and demands justice. One comforts, the other confronts. Only one changes the game. Ask yourself this: when history looks back on this moment, do you want to be remembered as someone who watched quietly from the sidelines, clutching their chest in grief, or as someone who stood up, stood tall, and said, "Not on my watch"? Because right now, silence is comfortable and pity is cheap. Pressure, on the other hand, is costly. It requires courage. It risks backlash. But it gets results. It's pressure that forces governments to act. Pressure that makes headlines impossible to ignore. Pressure that makes injustice uncomfortable for the perpetrators. The world doesn't shift because people are sad. It shifts when people are angry and determined enough to do something about it. This is not the time to feel bad and then move on. It's the time to disrupt, challenge, to expose. If you're not willing to pressure the systems, the media, the power brokers, then don't pretend you stand for justice. You either shake the table or you're part of the furniture. So stop offering pity like it's a solution. Pity salves your conscience. Pressure saves lives. Let's cut the nonsense. Quoting scripture and offering prayers without taking any action isn't faith. It's theater. It's performance. And while you may convince yourself that you're doing your part by folding your hands and whispering verses, let me ask you something blunting. Where's the substance behind your belief? Because faith without action is hollow. It's noise. And in times like these, hollow noise helps no one. You see, true faith is not measured by how many times you mention God. It's measured by how far you're willing to go when standing for what's right gets uncomfortable. When standing for truth means losing friends, facing backlash, sacrificing convenience. That is where real faith begins. Not on a prayer mat, not in a quiet corner, but in the chouse where lives are being destroyed and the powerful are hiding behind polite diplomacy. We've created this illusion that being faithful means staying quiet, being neutral, waiting for some divine sign. But faith isn't passive. It's bold. It speaks when silence is safer. It moves when everyone else stands still. If your belief system doesn't push you to defend the voiceless, to call out oppression, to walk into the fire with your convictions intact, then what exactly do you believe in? Every prophet, every great leader of faith stood against tyrants. They didn't just pray for justice. They fought for it. They weren't applauded. They were attacked. That's the price of real belief. If you think you can separate faith from action yourself, you're not faithful, you're just safe. So the next time you say a prayer for Palestine, ask yourself this: what am I doing to be the answer to that prayer? Because God gave faith, yes, but he also gave you feet to march, hands to build, and a voice to roar. Use them, or stop pretending. Ask yourself, if you're waiting for a divine hand to swoop in and solve the crisis in Palestine, are you really expecting a miracle from the heavens? Or are you hoping someone else will do the hard work for you? Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit: God's help often comes through human hands. Your hands, my hands, the hands of those willing to step up, speak out, and act when others choose to turn away. We get caught in this fantasy that divine intervention is some spectacular event. Fire from the sky, oceans parting, instant justice. But more often than not, help arrives in quiet, gritty, relentless acts of courage. It's the person who refuses to look away, the one who uses their influence to shine a light on injustice, the one who stands up despite fear, fatigue, or threats. That's how the divine works in the real world, through the people willing to be the change. If you believe in God, then understand this: waiting passively for help is not faith. It's complacency. It's hope without action, prayer without purpose. God equips you with tools, mind, voice, strength, and expects you to wield them. If you want to see God's help in the world, start by being that help yourself. Because every change, every justice movement, every breakthrough in history was powered by someone who refused to wait for a sign and instead became the sign. So stop looking up and start looking within. The help you seek isn't floating down from the skies. It's rising up from the courage inside you. When you choose to act, to speak, to stand, that's when the real miracles begin. And that's when hope becomes unstoppable. Tools